Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and on this episode we're going walking in Memphis. The topic of this walking in Memphis, USWA from August 11th, 1990. If you haven't seen my videos before, I rate everything on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is the worst, 5 is the best. For walking in Memphis, we go segment to segment, basically commercial to commercial. With that being said, let's jump right into this. We start off with Bundy the Gorilla handing out stuff to the audience. They say it is the real Bundy, so I'm guessing at some point there was an angle where someone dressed up as Bundy. That's followed up with a new tag team, Nebula and Quasar, aka the Twilight Zone, two masked wrestlers, and they're going up against Ken Wayne and Cowabunga. Now, when I pick these shows, I pick them totally at random. When I seen this, I got super excited for a few reasons. This is a gimmick that goes on top of a lot of people's lists as one of the worst gimmicks of all time. I wanted to go back and see if it was as bad as I remembered it, and this really helped with that. The guy under the gimmick is Chris Champion, who's actually a really good wrestler. You may know him best as Yoshi Kwan, but basically Cowabunga was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle inspired wrestler that wore what looks to be a pretty decent Ninja Turtle Halloween costume while he wrestled. And if that sounds bad to you, it is as bad gimmick-wise as it sounds, but the guy under the gimmick really tried to pull it off. Cowabunga and Ken Wayne pick up the win here. That's followed up with a promo segment with Downtown Bruno and Jeff Gaylord. And again, this is totally random, but I believe just yesterday or a few days ago, Jeff Gaylord passed away, so rest in peace to Jeff Gaylord. He's one of those guys that I look back and I kind of wonder, why didn't this guy get more than what he got? He had a look, he could wrestle, he could talk. I don't know. For that whole segment, I'm giving that a 3. Now, the next segment starts. We have Jeff Gaylord going up against Ben Jordan. Gaylord picks up a quick win here. Afterwards, he's still beating up Ben Jordan, which brings out Cowabunga, who is the feud that Jeff Gaylord is in, Gaylord and Cowabunga. Cowabunga runs him off, then Cowabunga goes to the set to do his promo. And I don't know if they use some kind of voice modulator or Chris Champion just changed his voice on his own, but it was very much a more high-pitched version of Chris Champion's voice. For that segment, I'm giving that a 3. Entertaining, but maybe entertaining for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. That's followed up with something that I think this may have been out of place, and I'll explain that a little bit later. We get a gentleman named Wayne. I didn't catch what they said for his last name. I'm gonna guess that he was a local DJ. If you know who he is, put the name down here in the comments. He goes over the local card coming up with Dave Brown. That's followed up by a Reggie B. Fine promo. I've said it before and I've said it a million times after. I really enjoy Reggie B. Fine. This is not one of his better promos. For that segment, I'm giving that a 3 because basically it's a promo and a rundown of a card coming up. That's followed up, and this is where I kind of think the videotape was a little bit out of order. We get a very short clip of Eddie Gilbert, the Dirty White Boy, and John Tatum going up against Jerry Lawler, Austin Idol, and Bill Dundee. Tom Burton gets involved, Sam Lowe gets involved, Eddie Marlin gets involved. But it was like 30-40 seconds. And when I get to the end, I'll explain why I think this was out of place. That's followed up by Eddie Marlin calling out Sam Lowe, basically saying, I might be an old man, but I still got enough in me to beat you up, which also brings out Lowe and Eddie Gilbert. For all that, that's all fantastic. Eddie Marlin killed it here on the promo. Eddie Marlin is underrated as a promo guy. I'm giving this one a 5. The more and more I see and remember of Eddie Marlin, the more he really is becoming one of my favorite authority figures of all time. That's followed up. Our next segment starts with Keith Haynes going up against the Dirty White Boy. Dirty White Boy picks up a pretty quick win here. That's followed up by the Dirty White Boy and the Dirty White Girl doing an interview. And I've said it before and I'll say it a million times over. Anytime I get a chance to see the Dirty White Girl again is a plus to me. She's someone that as a kid I had a huge crush on and still do to this day have a huge crush on her. So it was great seeing her out there. They're calling out Tessa, who was aligned with Bill Dundee. I don't remember what the alignment was, and it's not Tessa Blanchard. She would have been like 5 at the time, or even I don't even know if she would have been that old. But this was all pretty good. I enjoy Dirty White Boy's promos. I love seeing the Dirty White Girl. For all that, I'm giving this one a 4. That's followed up. Our next segment has Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler doing a promo. Dundee talks about how everybody underestimates him because of his size. Lawler just does his Lawler thing, which is always great. That's followed up by their partner coming up, Austin Idol, doing a promo where he's bloodied, and it's from the segment we seen 30 seconds of earlier. He's holding a baseball bat. That's followed with some highlights of Austin Idol. All really great stuff. 3 of the real legends of Memphis wrestling together. When these 3 would come together, it would kind of be like, and I know I'm dating myself on this, Voltron forming to form the big monster to kill the other monsters, or the big robot to kill the other monsters. That's followed up by another promo segment with the Dirty White Boy, the Dirty White Girl, and Eddie Gilbert. You know how I feel about Eddie Gilbert. If you've watched these long enough, you know that I love Eddie Gilbert. He's one of my favorite Memphis wrestlers. Again, with everything I just said about Dirty White Boy and Dirty White Girl, that was all awesome. That's followed up by a tag team match with Keith Eric and Deuce Mason. I believe that's what they said his name was. They either said Deuce or Bruce, but it kind of sounded like Deuce. And I know if I get it wrong, someone will correct me in the comments. Going up against Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee, basically the super team. This was really good, obviously highlighting Dundee and Lawler. For all that the promos with Dundee and Lawler, Austin Idol, Dirty White Boy, Dirty White Girl, and Eddie Gilbert, I'm giving that whole segment a 5. I thought it was really good. First off, we see video of Jeff Jarrett and the Snowman against Don Harris and Brian Lee. That's followed up with a promo with Downtown Bruno and Brian Lee and Don Harris, which gives us a match Joey Maggs and Rex King versus Lee and Harris. Lee and Harris pick up a quick win here. I'm giving this one a 3. And this is where I think the video was kind of out of order, because they talk about this being the end of the show, but then we get some extra segments after this. We get an interview with Maggs and King, Joey Maggs and Rex King, who are being built up as a young babyface team. Joey Maggs, you may remember from WCW. Rex King became, I forget which one he was, but he's part of Well Done. That's followed up by another promo with Jerry Lawler, Jeff Jarrett, and Bill Dundee, which again is followed up with another video of Jeff Jarrett and the Snowman versus Don Harris and Brian Lee, which is pretty much the same video they showed just a minute ago. And then the show ends with a promo with Downtown Bruno, Brian Lee, and Don Harris, which is kind of weird. Kind of felt a little bit out of place. Not bad, just feels like the video maybe got a little bit jumbled up. For that final segment, I'm giving that a 4. Overall, I thought this was a really good show. There was a lot to like here. All the promos were really awesome. You had a lot of the heavy hitters, the Dirty White Boy, Jeff Jarrett, Eddie Gilbert, Austin Idol, Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, Downtown Bruno, Eddie Marlin, all heavy hitters in Memphis. And you have some of the ridiculous Cowabunga being on here. Some of the up-and-coming stars, Brian Lee, Don Harris, Jeff Gaylord, who at the time was an up-and-coming star, John Tatum, who was an up-and-coming star. This was just a fantastic show altogether. I'm giving this one a 4. I thought it was rather enjoyable. I really liked it. With all that being said, let's smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. If you made it all the way to the end, hit me up in the comments with who your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle is. Is it Donatello, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael? Let me know up in the comments. Put that down here. Once again, my name is George Coles, and we've been walking in Memphis.